Sex, 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 sex. So much sex. Every other scene is sex. If we took out all the sex scenes from this movie, it would be a very good, short movie. I somehow came across this movie last month and so I looked it up for info and details and the IMDb page. First of all, one review had the nerve to say that this movie is for gays, meaning if we don't like that there's no plot and just a bunch of sex, it's because we are, as they said, homophobes and Christians. When really, if this were a heterosexual movie, all the sex scenes would be even worse. It would just be porn. At least this film was sort of artsy, on the surface. Side note, there's a horror satire movie called Final Girls, where a group of friends are somehow transported into an alternate reality inside of a quintessential 80s horror movie, and the only survivor will be the only person who has not had sex in it. Because a sex scene is foretelling that the actor or actress wasn't there for any other reason than to be in a sex scene, and they'll be killed off. Well, similarly, I always know when a movie will be bad if it starts with a sex scene, or if there's a sex scene perfectly in the middle of the movie, to keep people in the marathon of watching something otherwise painstaking. Sure, this movie looked okay, neon and LED lighting and bright clothes inside of an otherwise nocturnal, dark film. Literally dark. It's always taking place at night, because the main characters have secret lives. One moonlights as a drag queen, and the other moonlights as a trick who visits gay clubs and brothels, even though he's a tough roadman chav type otherwise. I'm surprised George McKay took this role, not because I know him personally, but because the only other film I've seen him in, he plays a nerdy virgin. Here, he's a tatted thug and he played the role perfectly, very sexy. Very. Whereas, Nathan from Misfits playing a power-bottom drag queen called Jules is no surprise to me. Not because his role in Misfits was also sexually charged, but just because, he has this look. He pulls off androgyny well. He's kind of high fashion looking. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the red carpet dressed like Grace Jones. But anyway. The film made no money. I mean, it made money. Just, no money. It made $90,000. Yes, that's a lot, if you're a teacher or a cop or something. But this is a movie where I can see they put a lot of effort in, and nothing really came of it. It was released in cinemas and barely made any money. I'm sitting here thinking, how did it even get released in theaters? On IMDb, it says it's going to be released in March 2024. It's February 2024, but other official sources say it was released February 2023. I don't know, but I waited on this film thinking no one on planet Earth had seen it because it's not out yet, and I was counting down the days in excitement till I could see it. And now that I've seen it, because apparently it's been out this whole time, I'm very disappointed and underwhelmed. It would have been phenomenal as a short film, with maybe 1 or 2 sex or intimate scenes. But to stretch this out as a feature-length film was a waste for everyone. George and Nathan had to play disgusting roles. Nathan had to walk around in stripper heels and deface himself, for $90,000. I don't know how actors get paid much less in UK. I don't know if they get paid as soon as they accept the role. I don't know if the film pays them, or their agency or whoever. I don't know if they don't get paid until the box office profit is added up and then divvied between everyone, but if that is the case, they didn't make any money. I also feel like this movie had a bigger budget than it did a return on that investment. I feel like they thought they'd crush it, and they didn't. This was embarrassing. I started reviewing this 1 hour and 11 minutes into a 1 hour and 30-minute film. And literally nothing had happened. A fight in the first 5 minutes, and sex scenes in between, and I knew they'd have to overcompensate for a vapid, eventless movie by shoving a whole revenge build-up and execution storyline into the final 15 to 20 minutes, which is not even what happened. The final 5 minutes literally was where everything happened. And still, it was pointless what had happened. That being said, this reminds me of a former TV series called Cucumber and Banana. It's an omnibus series about a collection of LGBT characters across Britain. The whole look of the film, the cool saturation of the color, the wardrobe, the contemporary UK vibe, the brick loft studios, the lingo, the storyline, the setting, all very similar, except Cucumber and Banana was much better. One episode is better than this entire movie. Again, this should have been a short film. However, the main thing that springs to mind with Cucumber and Banana is a scene where a closeted Chad type violently assaults the black gay guy, just like in this movie. This movie is kind of like the weird, oversexed and much more boring alt sequel. I'm not quite sure why that person said this is for the gays. If anything, this is for everyone. This is for everyone to see that you shouldn't lie or deceive. Jerry Springer told us this, that if you're a trans person, get with a straight closeted guy with full disclosure or full understanding that this will never be a relationship, until he is ready. Sure, this movie is a revenge movie, but there was no revenge, so it should not have been a revenge movie. Also, the fact that Jules and Preston did not get together in the end, with no revenge enacted to boot, made the other 80 minutes of pornographic content pointless, other than to titillate certain viewers. Don't wrap a revenge thriller around a plotless erotic adult film, though. Just watch porn. Now, I'm not against sex, I watch porn almost every day for about 10 minutes to an hour, and I was born female and identify as female. I'm the least bit a prude. But this was like watching a Serbian film if it was more colorful. And more boring. So I'm trying to understand Jules. If you wanted revenge, you'd try to get it the day after. Not 3 months after, at the weird chance of finding your attacker in the same brothel as you. And okay, fine, you enact revenge on your own timing. Well, the process to that revenge was not suspenseful. The director hinted and foreshadowed that revenge is always Jules's motive, yet there was no movement towards that revenge, just Jules fucking Preston every chance they got. There was no intelligent tactics involved at all. The only bit of revenge Jules did take failed halfway in the film, where they got caught filming their sexual activity. And nothing came of it. At all. The rest of the movie is pretty much a dark romance film, which is fine, but that's not what this movie was classed as. And there are better dark romance films, on that note. Also, Preston was not a bad guy regarding Jules. Totally smitten, just struggling with masculinity and coming out. That's not for Jules to be angry about, especially since Jules has no intent of really dating Preston. Jules wants to flip the script on Preston, sacrificing his back hole in the process, but never flips the script. And back to Preston not being a bad guy, yes, he fought Jules at the beginning while they were in drag. But why did Jules insult him publicly, in 10-inch stilettos, which are a weapon by the way? I don't talk crazy to people who could fight me when I am not dressed for the occasion. I pick my battles. Jules is defenseless in those heels. And if you emasculate and insult a guy who is already a fighter type, you get what you get. And then, Jules exposes Preston on stage even though he doesn't know Preston is there. So of course, Preston finds out and will kick your ass. It was less than shocking for that to happen. The only thing I can say that's a credit to Jules is that yes, Preston got all wound up because his stupid ugly thug friends were teasing him about homoerotic stuff, and he has a macho image to uphold, yet this is the oldest theme ever. We get it. There are closeted men. I agree, they need to either fly out the closet with a fistful of glitter so they can stop fighting and raping people, or they stay in the closet peacefully and try to move on. We get it, though. Men will violently go in and out of the closet forever. Get over it. The other thing is, a female friend of Preston asks Jules out. And she thinks Jules likes her. Well, how dumb of her to presume that Jules likes her. They made her Afrocentric black because Jules is, so there's this between the lines intent the film is trying to say, that some black men want white men more than they want black women. And while this is true, I would never presume a guy is straight because I know there's closeted guys out there. It's exactly what I was talking about at my other video, all men are bi. I wasn't even thinking about this movie because I didn't know it was released at that time I made the video. And there I was thinking, let me take the video down. But no, it's exactly what I was saying. Men are closeted, men you don't expect, and it's not right and it doesn't make any sense. But in this case, convenient for the movie, Preston is a gangbanger or something undeveloped in the plot. But he can't come out. Yet, I think he could come out. They pick on him for being gay anyway. And the gang leader is less than scary based on the casting, some mixed race guy with girly hair beads and blue contact lenses. A much better British film about nightlife and neon lights and bright clothes and glittery makeup and lad culture and sex is How to Have Sex or HTHS. This is a much better movie and very rewatchable. I've watched it 3 times since discovering it a month ago. It's like the In-Betweeners movie #1 with the look and genre of Femme, but a much better vibe and pace and story and script than Femme. This movie has sex in the title and has far less sex than Femme, yet was twice as sexier and relatable regarding sex and dating and identity. It was tactfully put together and excellently shot and performed and memorable, in my opinion. If anything, Femme needs to be called How to Have Sex, and this needs to be called Femme. A trio of girlfriends goes to Greece as is typical for Brits with and without any special occasion. UK was in the European Union, so they could travel conveniently to South Europe for the weekend or even the day. While this was cool, it's totally dangerous, including but also not limited to the themes in this film about being in danger abroad as a young woman. Tara, Sky and Em are looking for a good time on their graduation trip, obviously and understandably. But it's revealed they're in-betweeners themselves, they're their only friends, and struggle with getting guys, though Sky seems to be handling herself quite well, even though she forgets friendship in the process. And they soon forget Tara even exists, and she wanders through the party town alone overnight, and ends up in sexual encounters and spaces that are risky to her well-being. There honestly isn't much to this film. It's more of a short gaze into a holiday experience that's less than what you dream about, which probably happens more often than not. You put all your money and best outfits and makeup together, and hop on a plane or train, and land in an exotic paradise thinking, this could be the start of something new or at the least, a great moment in time. And oftentimes it just doesn't happen. In the first In-Betweeners movie, it shows a more chauvinistic side of struggling in your dating life. This idea that they'd definitely get sex one way or another come hell or high water, as if they're rich playboys landing on Epstein Island when they're just scrawny schoolboys who couldn't get laid back home either. And there's a comedic touch to their efforts and failures. As if we as viewers would just give them a loving pat on the back like, get 'em next time champ. But in this film, it's as if it's an answer to that film. Not saying it is, but imagine you're a group of girls on a night out or on holiday and you encounter Jay, Simon, Neil and Will from the In-Betweeners desperate to have sex and can only find drunk, insecure girls to do it with. It suddenly makes the In-Betweeners seem a little toxic, to be honest. I mean, I'll always love them, as a female nonetheless. But to see that Tara had the worst holiday ever, alone, face stained with makeup and tears, hungover and lost, unhappy about her sexual experiences, and scared for her future back home, it less so is a study on her, for me. And more so it's a study on how the male approach to getting laid or pulling can affect others, which is a shared theme in Femme and HTHS. 9 stars for the look of the film and the performances and quality and the story, 7 stars for enjoyment and rewatchability. Some people might find this boring. But it's a mature and atmospheric light thriller and drama. It's not appropriate at all either, perfect for any age group except younger than 13. It's like Skins or something.